Welcome to the Public Recording of Police webinar, Frequently Asked Questions. My name is Billy Grogan. I'm the Chief of Police with the Dunwoody, Georgia Police Department, just outside of Atlanta. The International Association of Chiefs of Police Public Recording of Police project is funded by the United States Department of Justice, Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services, also known as the COPS Office. Let's get started. Why does the public feel the need to record police officers? That is a good question today. Of course, we know that almost everyone has a cell phone with video capabilities. Natural curiosity plays a huge role. Even before cameras, individuals' curiosity was piqued when police were present. Usually when police are involved, something exciting is happening. With public perception and concern over police use of force, individuals are more likely to record police in an attempt to document excessive uses of force. Remember, very few positive responses by police officers ever make it online. Why do some officers react negatively to being recorded? Well, police officers feel like their authority is being questioned when someone is recording them. They also feel like the recording indicates scrutiny of their actions, as though the person is saying they're doing something wrong. They also feel like they're being judged without reason. And then the recording is an interference or an intrusion as well, which leads to safety concerns of the police officer depending on the proximity of the person recording and their demeanor. People who are recording may also taunt or verbally harass officers in hopes of provoking a negative reaction that can be caught on camera. Officers have to be very careful and not fall into that trap when confronted with someone who's recording them or who becomes verbally abusive while doing so. How can I protect the privacy of victims and witnesses? If you're in a public space, officers cannot prevent an individual from recording unless a perimeter has been established. And we'll talk more about that perimeters later. Officers should move the victim or witness to a location where the recording party does not have access, such as a private location or inside a patrol car. Officers can shield the victim or witness from recording individuals by moving them behind a barrier, such as a car or a building. Alternately, the officer may consider scheduling a follow-up interview at a later time, although in many cases this will not be possible. How large can I make the perimeter? Perimeters can be established to keep individuals from materially interfering with or otherwise hindering police business, as well as to protect the safety of officers and others at the scene. Perimeters cannot be established solely to prevent people from recording. Please remember that. That is extremely important. You can't just establish a perimeter to keep people from recording what you're doing. You must have an articulable reason, such as to prevent interference with official police duties. The perimeter size will be based on the type of event. For instance, a hostage barricaded incident may require a larger perimeter than an altercation on a public sidewalk. Perimeter size must be reasonable. But what is reasonable? Once a perimeter is established, no unauthorized individuals should be allowed inside, whether they are recording or not. The boundary must apply to everyone equally. As far as perimeter size and what's reasonable, as I stated previously, it depends on the incident. And in the future, or if a complaint is filed, you must have an articulable way to describe why you created the perimeter the size that you did. When can I arrest someone who is recording? First, remember that individuals have a First Amendment right to record with only a few exceptions. The officer should ignore the fact that the person is recording But if the officer still has probable cause to believe that a crime has been committed, then the arrest may be made. An arrest or citation should never be based solely on the fact that an individual is recording. It must be based on their actions that they are taking, not the simple fact that they're recording. Officers should attempt to ignore individuals who are taunting or yelling insults. The recording individual may be asked to move to another location. However, they cannot be forced to do so unless they are materially interfering. That's an important point. Yelling obscenities does not constitute material interference. What about officer safety issues? For instance, if an individual during a traffic stop at night uses his or her cell phone with the flashlight turned on to record the stop, or if the individual refuses to turn off the flashlight, can I take the cell phone? While individuals have a right to record, officers must also consider their own safety. In the situation where a recording party is using the flash or flashlight feature on his or her phone at night during a traffic stop, this creates a legitimate danger to officer safety. The officer should always strive to use the least restrictive method to remove the threat to his or her safety and to provide reasonable alternatives whenever possible. In this case, officers should first acknowledge that the individual has a right to record, but ask him or her to please turn off the flash or flashlight function. If the individual refuses, politely explain that if he or she does not comply with the officer's request to turn off the flashlight feature, the officer may be forced to seize the device for the duration of the stop. If the individual continues to refuse, seize the device with the understanding that it will be returned to the individual immediately following the stop. This should be the absolute last step, and the officer should consider contacting a supervisor prior to seizing the device. Never view, alter, or delete any recording on the device. What about suspicious activity, such as taking a photograph of an airport, a stadium, police headquarters, power plant, etc.? In these situations, officers should conduct a field community contact in an attempt to ascertain the person's intentions. The officer should obtain as much information as possible about the individual. This information should be forwarded to the appropriate local or regional agency for follow-up if necessary. The officer may choose to ask to see the photograph or recording to rule out any potential terrorist activities. At no point should the individual be told to stop recording. As stated previously, the individual can only be arrested or cited if the officer has probable cause to believe a crime has been committed. The act of recording itself is not a crime. What is the proper response to an individual who is recording? Officers must recognize that the individual has a First Amendment right to record the police in the performance of their duties in public spaces. The best thing to do is to ignore them. Officers should always assume they are being recorded. Sometimes individuals may engage officers in debate or arguments about recordings. In these situations, deflection and disengagements are the preferred responses. Officers may wish to develop a program response in preparation for such incidents. This response may include, "I know you have the right to record. Please do not interfere with my investigation or other activity I'm engaged in. Please move back to a specific location. Would you like to speak to my supervisor?" Those are some suggestions that would be helpful if an individual is recording you. Some key points to remember. Individuals have a First Amendment right to record the police. Perimeters can be established, but not solely to prevent people from recording. Officers can arrest individuals who are recording only when there is probable cause to believe a crime has been committed. The act of recording itself does not warrant an arrest or citation. Officers should assume that they are always being recorded, and the best response is to ignore it. For more information regarding the Public Recording of Police project, to include additional webinars, a roll call video, and classroom training materials, please visit the iacp.org/PROP, where you'll gain a lot more information than this webinar of frequently asked questions.